Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the Writer Extraordinaire has graced us with some of the best articles of the season. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry, and on the show this week, Flyers' future, can they get back to contention? Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And boy, oh boy, we got a good one for you today. Woohoo! How about that, man? We got some great things to talk about today, especially about the Flyers. 2 great articles from the great Lance. Actually, we might even get into 3, but hey, well, you know, we can dream, right? So how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I'm excited to get talking about some of this stuff. Ready to go. First of all, we would like to give out a Hockey Writers Inc. salute to the great Jamie Baskow and the Flyers Nitty Gritty group, FlyersNittyGritty.com, for helping us get to Bleacher Reports for the 25th week in a row. Wow, 25 weeks in a row. That, I don't know about y'all, but that's pretty exciting. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. We would also like to thank our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. They take care of all your pets' needs, from daycare to spa treatments and even pool time. Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. Check them out on Facebook as well. They've got both pools open, so get your doggies down there and get that time scheduled. You definitely want to get them in there, man. I'll tell you that for sure. All right, my man. Here we go. In this 29th episode, wow, 29. Man, all good, though.
All good.
We've had some really awesome shows, haven't we?
I think so.
I mean, Tommy Soderstrom? I mean, dude, that has to be a feather right there for you, right?
Oh, for sure. He was one of my idols growing up.
That's what I mean, right? And then, of course, we had one of my idols on, not once, but twice. We had the great Jim Jackson on, right? Yeah, man. And then we had Bill Meltzer on. We had James Hardy on. And we had Sammy Weismer on from Flyers Nitty Gritty. We had the gang from O&B Puck on. So I'll tell you what, man. I can't wait to see who we bring in next.
I have a plan or two in place.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Ooh, I like when he has plans, folks. That usually means good things for y'all. All right, man, here we go. This episode 29, Flyers future, can they get back to contention? The Flyers season has thankfully finally ended the other day with a win against the Devils.
That was painful season.
Just on Tuesday was the press conference with Chuck Fletcher. Before we get into any of Lance's articles, I want to broach some of these subjects here because we haven't really had a chance to break down our Flyers season. So we're going to kind of give you a little bit of that in the first part of the show here. And then we'll get into the articles that Lance wrote. So this is the one little thing here that I want to cover because I think we need to be able to express some of our opinions here about what we think is going on with the team here. And this is our platform. So, hey, guess what? We're gonna. So the press conference was held on Tuesday with Chuck Fletcher and Alain Vigneault as both men sat there fielding questions from the media. I have to admit, I was not getting warm and fuzzy feelings based on their answers.
No. Did you notice how they didn't even bother to look at each other, like not once?
The whole time.
They
didn't even look over and confer or
nothing.
Nothing, right? It's funny that you mentioned that because I did kind of take notice of that, and I just kind of kept that in the back of my mind, like, man, they never looked at each other. Like, these guys are supposed to be working arm in arm and hand in hand. And okay, all right. What are your thoughts on what Chuck mentioned about what his plans are for the team moving forward?
It sounds good. Proof is in the pudding. I want to see something happen. I think it's time, as I said in some previous articles, I think it's time for him to make his stamp on this team. For the most part, up to now, he's been dealing with majority of what he was left by Hextall. And some of those players have progressed, Joel Farabee, and some have not. So let's make some moves. Let's, you don't need to get crazy with it, but some obvious blaring needs are there, and something needs to happen. I do like how he said he wanted to address the goaltending position. I think him and AV are not very satisfied, obviously, with the year that they had from the netminders, and I'm happy to see something, and I got some ideas in place for that as well, possibly in an upcoming article that could help in that situation. So,
well, let me ask you this question now that you broached that subject. Okay.
Was that on your word of the day calendar, by the way? That was twice now that you said that. I like that.
Really?
Yeah, okay. Vocabulary word of the day.
All right. A vocabulary word of the day. By the way, if you hear that word again,
is it a drinking
Take
game
a sip of water.
Yeah.
Take a sip of water, because we don't advocate drinking here. So
right.
All right. Yeah, now that you've approached that little question or that little subject there, I do have a little something to say there. It seems to me like they want to fix the goaltending, yeah?
Definitely. They both addressed it in the presser, and I'm right there with them. I think
I agree.
They need to address a solid backup, or not even a backup, because of the struggles that Hart had. I would say even a 1A or 1B to go, a tandem of sorts, where most teams are heading towards nowadays. You don't have your Marty Brodeurs playing 70 games a year, so in turn, you need two legit goaltenders. And you definitely want to see Carter Hart step up and be that guy that can play that 50, 60 some games, but that's a lot of games to just give to somebody that's okay, and still make the playoffs and be seated where you want to be. So I agree. And I think they need to address the third goaltender as well. For me, Alex Lyon, although he stepped up in a game or two recently over the course of his 4 or 5 years here in Philadelphia, he hasn't been the guy that they thought he might turn into. So I think they do need to address a third option as well, because goaltenders get injured. So
right. Okay. See, there's a reason why I'm going here like this.
Sure.
Okay. Because they haven't addressed it. They had a perfect opportunity to do so, and they did not. Okay. They let Ivan Fedorov re-sign with the KHL. Okay. That was a perfect key point that Fletcher dropped the ball on again.
Yeah.
And now they want to come out and say they want to fix the goaltending when you had perfectly capable tools in the tool shed right there. All you had to do was sign a contract for him. You could have gotten him on the cheap, right? Seriously, yeah. And brought him over, and he would have pushed Carter Hart, right? That would be an amazing goalie tandem, right?
Yep.
Come on. Okay. That's why I brought that up, because they want to fix the goalie tandem, but they clearly don't. They say one thing and do something else.
They definitely do.
Right. Okay. That's point number one. Okay. How did you feel about the answers that AV gave about some of the players' preparation?
I thought he used a lot of excuses for his own, blaming it on the players from Canada and their lack of ability to get to a rink. Although I do think that they're professional athletes, and if they felt they weren't adequately getting time on the ice, they should have came back down here and, worked out with some of the players that stayed in and around the area, like Sam Moran, and some others that worked and were trying to make the roster on a regular basis. So they stayed here and worked with, our coaches and everything. And, if they weren't, they needed to do that. But for Elaine to throw out that, blaming Canada, blaming everything, COVID, and I mean, all things that everybody else had to deal with. And Steel, I think 16 other teams, if I'm right, are still playing currently that had to deal with the same situations, and they figured it out. Limited practice times was another thing he brought up. Again, they're professional athletes. At some point, they should be there and be prepared. They're getting paid millions of dollars. And although it's not a normal season, and we know that,
So,
other teams around the league have found ways to make it work and
and
be
even,
successful.
and
Even
even,
through a third of their team being out, they were able to bring up the kids that they needed to or could that succeeded in their own right, and get back and fight until their whole team was back. And we lack to do any of that.
yeah, that would be a good way to put that. Okay. Is it me, or does it seem like there was for a lack of a better word here, excuses? I mean, you've already touched on it for why this team performed the way it did this year. I mean, I sat and I really tried to have a good positive outlook on this press conference. I was really looking forward to these two guys getting their opportunity to say, we're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. These are the things we're going to do. And all they did was basically lay out a big giant pie full of excuses. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. Well, neither could the rest of the 29 teams out there, mister. Really? I mean, it appears to me that the coach lost the room towards the last third of the season. And why is this issue not being addressed?
I don't know. I think Chuck Fletcher, I think he doesn't want to give up on his guy that he brought in. If it was a coach previous to his hiring that was already in place, I think he would have been fired. AV took the team pretty far last season, and they don't want to maybe give up on him just yet, especially since Chuck brought him in to be that guy. But like you said, once you have lost the team, I think it's very hard to get them back. And at that point, it doesn't matter of how good of a coach you are. If the team doesn't believe in you as a coach and as a leader, then they're just not going to play for you. And it seems to be like that is what is going on from the captain, Claude Giroux, getting quite aggravated when TK was sat, to Ghost stepping up and getting basically waived and reprimanded for sticking up for Carter Hart when the finger pointing from AV was there. It seems like way too many excuses. At some point, you have to look at yourself. He blamed his coaching staff, which, although that may be true as well, on their end, you're the boss behind the bench. You are the one that's sitting there and not getting the job done. And as far as Chuck Fletcher goes, he had, while he was backing up AV, the Comcast Spectacor great guru of hockey there.
That wasn't dripping with sarcasm.
Right. What went on to back, Chuck up as well, saying, well, he tried to get somebody to replace, Matt Niskanen, but it just didn't happen. But it wasn't for lack of effort. I'm sorry. You didn't give enough effort if you didn't acquire somebody. There was people there, much better people there, that I would have said bring in. And not everybody you offer a contract to is going to want to join you. But you could have made a trade. You could have done something and not taken no for an answer. Yes, you may have had to give up a prospect or somebody that you may have not wanted to do so. But when you're looking at prospect versus replacing a top pairing defenseman, I think I'm going to be okay with giving up a prospect
all day long
to replace a top pairing defenseman that plays over 20 minutes a night. That is a big hole that you left
got leadership
open
and everything
all
else
year long. You left open that all year long, and you didn't do it at the trade deadline or before the trade deadline when the Flyers still had a chance to go out and make the playoffs still. So I think he dropped the ball. And although I am willing to give Chuck Fletcher just a wee little chance, as opposed to AV, slight chance over it. But I think I want to see what he can do with this cap room, and he better make some big splashes, like he said he was going to do when he came in here. So,
well, what he wants to do and what the reality is going to be are going to be two different things. And I think we're going to see some harsh realities slapping these people in the face here coming up real soon. Speaking of which, I mean, look, we basically said what would need to happen in order for us to get some confidence instilled in this GM and the coach would be some major moves that would need to happen. And quite frankly, the major moves that I think need to happen would be the coaches needs to go. There needs to be some accountability there, and there isn't any. Okay. And when you look at leadership, okay, and your leadership is allowed to slack and allowed to get away with not getting the job done, then that reflects down to the younger guys. And the younger guys look at the coach and say, oh, well, it's okay for the coach not to do his job and he's okay to get away with it. And it's okay for these star $8.25 million players to take shifts off, take nights off, not skate 110% every night, not putting it out there every night. And then they see that and they go, oh, well, he's making $8.25 million, or he's a coach, he's making $5 million. I don't have to play full speed. I can slack off too, right? And now you get this whole type of mindset now is starting to be integrated into the team. Plus the fact that you're weeding out all the physicality, okay? And then yet that's all you clamor about. Oh, you want it, yet you keep drafting guys and trading guys away that are those potential guys.
And keeping Sam Moran out of the lineup.
One of the bright spots this year was Sam Moran. And I noticed that when he was in the lineup, when and the players do the warm-ups, right? And the home team is on one side of the ice and the opposition is on the other side of the ice. And that center line there is that no-fly zone, right? And right. You see Sam Moran right there on his knee on that line chirping. Okay? When he was in the lineup, there was a different road to hoe. Okay? I like this kid, and I really thought that he should have played way more than what he was allowed to play. Gee, that sounds like a coach dropping the ball. Anyway, what do we know, right?
Right.
For whatever reason, this team has no identity and really seems to not have any direction moving forward. I mean, I hate to constantly be ragging on this, man, but I'm seeing things and I'm not seeing anything to the good. I keep hearing and seeing things, but I'm not seeing it go to the good.
Yeah, I want to be positive, guys. I really want to believe in this team, and
I do.
I just don't see the heart or the effort out of anybody besides maybe Joel Farabee and Wade Allison towards the end.
I agree.
On a consistent nightly basis is what I'm talking about. Claude Giroux had a great game or two and scored 2 goals in the third and overtime, whatever, against the Devils one night, and that was great. But where's that on a consistent basis? Where's those big goals on a consistent basis? You mean to tell
me that a second-year guy is leading the team in goals, and he only gets to 20 goals because he scored 2 goals in the last game of the season? Are you kidding me? I remember when the Flyers had 10 guys that had 20 goals. Okay? That wasn't that long ago. Right? Where's that?
Well, it was a shortened season as well, so 20 goals is quite a feat for most people this season, unless you're Connor McDavid, who had 100 in a shortened season. But
109 actually to be exact.
109 points, yeah. So wow, why couldn't he have been there when we were selecting second overall or something for Patrick?
I'm with you on that.
Mm.
Well, listen, I think we got out. Did you get it all out?
I think so.
You got it all out? All right, cool. I got it all out too, so I feel a little better that we got to kind of express a few things. And with that being said, we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back after we get a word from our sponsor. It's www.cccresorts.com. Check them out on the web. You can also check them out on Facebook. And we'll be right back after this word from CCC Resorts. Greetings. This is SteelFlyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Thank you very much to cccresorts.com for being our sponsor. Really appreciate all the work that they do to help us bring you such great shows. Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. Thank you very much for that. All right, my man, we're going to get into this first article here. We got a couple of them to get into, so we'll try to be as frugal with time as possible. How's that? Word of the day, I guess? Another word of the day?
You skipped ahead.
I'm skipping it. Sorry. I know it was broach, but hey, just wanted to show my linguistical talents. by saying such simple, easy words and making them sound like Target. All right. Posted on Flyers Nitty Gritty just the other day. This article is a continuation of the draft series here that Lance has put out for us. This article addresses the Flyers' 4th round draft pick in the upcoming NHL Draft, and I have to tell you, I'm really, really excited about this player that you have selected. With the Flyers' 4th round draft pick, they select Ty Gallagher. Yeah, man. I like it.
All right. Yeah, Ty is a great player. He's a little underrated, in my mind, because he doesn't get a whole lot of playing time for
Right.
Team USA. Team USA is stacked at defense, and they have produced some pretty good ones. Cam York being one of them most recently. But I have him going 4th here, and the reason for it is we need a right-hand shot defenseman, and guess what? He's one of them.
Finally!
Yes. So,
oh my gosh.
right. So I don't think that the Flyers are going to go after a defenseman that early, maybe in the 1st or 2nd round. There's just not a whole lot of good right-hand shots. One very early will already be gone. But I think this is a good spot to find one. We have a lot of defensive depth in the system, but we could use another right-hand shot. So here's one that has some great points to him. He's 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. He's going to go to my favorite college, Notre Dame, and play there after getting done with the U.S. team. So, but the great thing about him is that he broke some records. He passed all USA defensemen previous to him in goal totals. Cam York being one of them. So he ended his USA hockey career with 24 goals, where York just amassed just 22 during his time playing there. He has a tremendous shot from the point, and can jump up into the play, but is defensively responsible as well. One thing that he probably needs to work on is a little bit of his consistency. Okay, later on in the draft, you don't have players that are complete this late in the draft. They're going to take a little bit, need to work on a thing or two, right? Not everybody's going to be ready to go like a
bit
top
of a project.
Right, like a top 5 pick that's going to step into the NHL and just go with it. He's going to be a little bit of a project, but I think he's going to a great place at Notre Dame, and they have a tremendous coach there that is going to help him further his career. And he's going to be joined by 2 other players from the USA team as well. So he's going to have some friends there as well. I think it's just a good all-in-all pick, and this guy just is what the Flyers need. He has a little physicality and not a whole lot like the previous mentioned guys, but he's just a great pick in my mind at this point in the 4th round.
Yeah, and that's usually the other thing too, where defensemen take a little bit longer to develop. You know what I mean? And sometimes, here's going to be another really key factor, I think, in this draft that I think some folks might be overlooking, but because the junior leagues didn't play very much this year, and the lower leagues didn't play, that's going to mean that there's much less tape on these players coming out for the draft. So you potentially could get a later round draft gem because nobody knows about him because they haven't seen him skate or play or nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he seems like he might potentially be, there does seem to be quite a bit of tape on him. You know what I mean? But he seems like he could be one of those particular later round players that might come good. You know what I mean? So I'm really impressed with this kid. He sure seems like he has all the tools. But he is going to take us some time to develop, though, right?
Probably a year or two, for sure, depending on the Flyers' defense. It's a little log jammed in the minors right now, so I wouldn't rush him. I think we go out
even as a right-hand shot.
I wouldn't rush him. I think they need to address that in free agency on the Flyers end of it. They need
Okay, yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
address a right-hand shot defenseman for the Flyers right now, a veteran or something like that, kind of
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
Matt Niskanen, like I said in previous articles. But I think this kid has what it takes to make a good top four, 3 or 4 defensemen in the NHL one day if he grows his skills there. So
Ty seems to have taken the bull by the horns in the U.S. development team, especially after some of the players ahead of him have moved on. And you also mentioned the fact that he's going to Notre Dame. And I'm here to tell you, that's a really, really good hockey program up there. There's what? 2 national championships that you pointed out. He's been to the Frozen Four, like what? 6 or 4 to 6 times or something crazy like that. I mean, that organization up there knows how to win. It's like right up there with that North Dakota.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's great kudos to Jeff Jackson, the coach there. He's got 7 career, as you were saying, 7 career Final Four appearances.
Oh, 7. Oh, wow. Okay.
Frozen Four appearances, 8 conference championships,
Wow.
2-time Coach of the Year, and 2-time national champion. And this is compiled to where he was with other teams as well. But he's really turned South Bend into a hockey city there, and they have a great football program there too. But that hockey program is coming right for bore with them. So
Exactly. It's funny that because we've talked about this in some of our earlier articles about how United States college hockey has kind of really stepped into the fore, especially this year, because of the junior leagues not playing.
mm-hmm.
And even Canadian players are coming down. And even European players are coming to United States colleges and stuff like that so they can play. You know what I mean? And it makes the college hockey. I mean, I don't know about you, but I watched quite a few college hockey games this year, especially some of them Michigan games with Cam York. And I'll tell you what, Mo, that's some seriously good hockey down there in the college ranks for sure. You know what I mean?
For sure. It's a very exciting game to watch right now on the collegiate level. You have so many good players deciding to go to college now and spending a year or two to develop. And I think that, it's needs to happen. I think, college hockey is for a long time not been there up with the CHLs of the world and all that. And it's about time that, some American-born talent is getting recognized in recent drafts. And I love it. I love it, guys. They play a big physical game, and they have a lot of rivalries, as you'll see in the Big Ten Conference there. Just some big schools and some exciting hockey, guys. If you're not tuning in or aren't able to find this, go look it up on YouTube. Watch some of these games.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was just watching some today, scouting some players, and just enjoyable hockey to watch for sure.
For sure. And that's the other thing too. In the last couple of years, just because I live in Pennsylvania, I've seen the Penn State hockey program rise. They've been to the Frozen Four a number of times in the last few years and won one 2013, 14, something crazy like that. They won one, right? So Penn State's no slouch neither. Ohio State puts out a really good team. Wisconsin puts out a really good team. I mean, the Big Ten itself,
Michigan, yeah,
puts out really good hockey teams. And some of the other colleges as well too. But I'm just, I just focus on because that's kind of what I see. But I'm excited about this player. I think he would be a great addition to the Flyers, especially a homegrown right-handed shot. I'm all for that. And I think some of these later rounds are gonna make or break some teams, especially this year, because of the lower leagues not playing and not having enough tape on players and stuff.
And I think to his credit, we kind of bashed him a little bit earlier, but I think Chuck is really good, and he's shown that he can go into the later rounds and select some talented players. Zayd Wisdom and Elliot Desjardins were drafted in the later rounds, and they are looking quite well. Where other teams just focus on the top 3 rounds and that's it, and then get a bunch of scrubs or trade a bunch of picks away. He's able to still select players that you will see on this Flyers roster coming in the next few seasons, and that's exciting. That's a sign of a talented GM, or at least scouting department.
Yeah, I agree.
In that size. So
which
kudos
I would say
for that.
Kudos to the scouting department.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. I guess my cards are shown now, huh? Not happy, Bob. Not happy. All right. Great draft pick for the 4th round. I like you had some great players for the 1st round, the 2nd round, the 3rd round. This is another great player coming on the 4th round for the Flyers. I think he would make a great addition to the team. You don't have to sell me on this player at all. I think he fits in perfectly with the Flyers. Would be that particular person, and I really like this pick. All right, my man. We're going to get into article number 2 here, and I just want to say this straight out, okay? In the last year now, okay, this is the year, this is the month that I started all this stuff, in May. And in the last year, I've had the opportunity to read a lot of articles, not just from everybody from Flyers Nitty Gritty and all over across and everything else like that, but I've read a lot of articles from you, Lance, okay? And I read the articles from you, and I thought, man, this guy needs to have a show. Right? And so we hooked you up, we got you a show and everything like that. And I'm going to tell you something, man. This next article that we're going to talk about, I think so far has been the best one that I have read from you. Okay? And there was so much of you in this article. There was I could feel the intensity in this article. Okay. I'm very weird when it comes to things like that I read, because I try to get as engrossed into it as I can. Okay. I would much rather read things than watch things, because your mind is a much more powerful generator of things in whatever you could see. Right. So your imagination is much more impromptu or much more powerful. But this was your bid to have Rod Brind'Amour come and coach the Flyers. Okay. And this article was released a little while ago back on Flyers Nitty Gritty. And folks, I want to tell you something. This article garnered over 2,000 reads
in
the first day.
Yeah, it was in the
first day.
Yeah, I think it was at 2,500 or something when I last checked the first day, but I'm still getting comments on it. I'm still even today, the person I relieved at my work was saying, "Oh man, I read that article you put out," and I'd never even known that he reads my stuff. But it's just exciting to a lot of people, the idea of it, and I put a lot of thought into it, and I appreciate you saying that. It got a lot of good feedback from it for sure.
Lance, it goes to prove your level of professionalism. It goes to prove that you really are truly a writer. Okay? When you can write stories like, when you can write pieces like that, that wasn't a story, that was a piece. Okay? That was suitable for framing as far as I'm concerned. All right? We all can dream. We would have loved to have seen Rod Brind'Amour come back and coach the Flyers. I mean, I was going to bed at night praying to God, let Rod come to Philly, let Rod come to Philly, let Rod come to Philly. Even though I knew it was never going to happen.
Okay?
Right. But I wanted to say that about this article. If you haven't read it, folks, please go to flyersnittygritty.com. Check it out. It's the Rod Brind'Amour for Coach, written by Lance Green. It was just posted out, I believe, on the 7th. I think is when it was posted, on the 7th.
Yeah.
Go to flyersnittygritty.com. go to Lance's latest article, click on his name, and it'll bring up all of his articles. And you click on that article about Rod Brindamore, and you will see in that article just the type of writer that Lance Green really is. We don't call him the writer extraordinaire for nothing here, folks. Okay? So, unfortunately, the dream came to an end when he put ink to paper and signed a 3-year extension with Carolina. So
yeah. So I mean, with that, yes, I think my writing's a little bit different than most in that sense, where a lot of people put out these dream pieces, and of course, the Jack Eichel's articles are coming out again, and the dude gets paid $10 million. How are we going to fit that into the salary cap? I don't know.
That ain't happening in Philly.
But some of these dream articles, I really don't even bother with reading. But mine are a little bit different. When I suggest something, I don't think it's a dream. I think it's a possibility. And I think it's and I tend to prove myself, or ways that it can be,
exactly,
and ways that it should, and reasons for it should happening. And that's a big difference than some of the articles out there right now. The reason why I suggested even bringing Rod Brindamore in, everybody loves Rod Brindamore when he was here as a player. That's one thing. But he's a great coach as well. He's developed into being one of the best, if not the best coach in the NHL today. That is why he's got Carolina Hurricanes sitting like at the number 1 spot when I wrote this article in the entire league.
Yep.
He is a true professional. He is the strength and conditioning coach in my mind as well, because he beats the team there into the
into the weight room and stuff
before they get there, and he's the last one out of there, outlifting everybody there.
That's the coach, by the way, and he's in his like late 40s, early 50s now, right?
He's 50. Yeah. And this guy went out there and is the true professional that he is, stuck up, and could have hurt his own chances of getting re-signed, or at least even offered a contract from Carolina, because what he did for his coaching staff, his training staff, his equipment staff, I mean, probably even the ushers at this point at the like, that's how well he said it.
The guy that collects the spit in the water bucket,
Yeah, like this guy went out there and advocated that he will not sign a deal until all of his coaching staff, training staff, all that good stuff were up for a new contract as well, were offered and signed a deal. And that's pretty big. That's putting your payday on the line, because maybe the owner doesn't want to do that, and especially Carolina's owner, because Carolina's owner is a cheapskate. He will pay players, yes, but when it comes to GMs and coaches, he does not. To put it in perspective there, the top coaches, AV and others, are in the $5 to $6 million a year range. And Carolina's owner has simply come out and said multiple times that he is not going to pay a coach that much. Even though Rod Brindamore deserves to be paid like that, everybody knows that he's not a money-hungry guy. But when he was getting paid what, $600,000 or $700,000, $600 and some $1,000 this year to be the best coach in the league, when other guys are getting paid $5 and $6 million. Something's got to give there, guys. So it did come up that he did get a raise, and he did decide to sign a contract. And that was for 3 years at $1.8 million a season. Still a fraction of what the other elite coaches in the league are getting paid, and some that aren't even seeming to be elite anymore. AV. But that is where we're at with that, guys. If you didn't read the piece, like Steel said, please read the piece. It is very well thought out, I think, in my mind, and gives various reasons on why this type coach and this type player and just great person in general should have been offered a deal and somehow snuck out of Carolina.
I mean, at least the phone should have rang.
Yes. And they have been tampering at this point, but so be it. Tampering.
So
what are you going to be like, Arizona, who's a draft pick? Like, yeah, come on. So much for that hope and dream. Would have been a great addition, and I really think that Rod Brindamore could have brought the Flyers in and really brought that heart and soul and Philly way of playing hockey back. But such is life, we didn't get that chance. And he's built a great team down there, and why leave in that aspect? But
no, I agree.
He does deserve to get paid more so than he did. But
meanwhile, we're stuck like Chuck. Okay, well, that was the look. I don't look at those as dream articles. I look at that as there was a real legitimate shot, because at the time, Carolina was basically drawing a line in the sand saying, I'm not paying you this kind of money, so don't even bother asking. And then Brindamore came out and he drew his line in the sand and said, well, if you don't re-sign the staff, then I'm out.
Yeah.
So something gave, and there's a contract for the guy. You know what I mean? Right. So there you have it. All right, my man. This is the last article that we're going to talk about today. And this is one of many salvos that are going to come across the port bow here. This article was just released this morning. That's how dripping wet this ink is. And folks, I'm just going to come right out and say it, okay? Because it's, to me, I back my play, and Lance is the play, and I think this is the right call and the right move at the right time for this player, and it's time for Nolan Patrick to pack his bags and get the frick out of Philadelphia. That's what the article was about, right?
It was. I played devil's advocate,
stuff, buddy.
Yeah, I played a devil's advocate on both sides, but I do agree. I don't think he's the person that he was drafted to be. The Flyers were gifted with selecting him by the draft lottery. They were jumped up 11 spots in that sense to be able to draft him, and we didn't get some of these other guys in past history like a Line A or a Jack Eichel at number 2 or a Gabriel Landeskog, Tyler Seguin, Victor Hedman, Drew Doughty. These are the type players that most teams get in the second overall pick, but we get Nolan Patrick.
I mean, even JVR, right?
Even JVR, 30-goal scorer. I mean,
but he was a second pick, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, I know you play devil's advocate and everything like that, and I get you. And when you really break it down, okay. In all reality, aside from this 56 game, well, I don't even think he played all 56 games. He played 50 games, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because he missed when he got smacked in the head. He missed the next couple of games after that, and then he was able to come back and everything. So I don't think he played all 56 games, but I'll say that he played. Let's just say he played 50.
He played 52, I believe, this year.
All right, 52. All right, I was off by 2. All right, he played 52 games. How many games did he play last year? 0. How many games did he play the year before that? 18, 19, 20, something like that. And then the concussion, the concussion syndrome struck, and then he was out. Okay, so he's been on the team now for technically 4 years, but in reality, he has barely played a season's worth of games for us. Correct?
I mean, yeah, he was healthy the first year or two, but still, I mean, his career highs. You're thinking this is the number 2 overall pick here. It's not a 3rd or 4th round pick that's developing. These guys are, drafted that high are supposed to be producing right out the gate, not growing, not learning. They're supposed to have it and be with it at that point. And, to date, his career highs are 13 goals and 31 points. As say what you want about Patrick Laine, but he's right there close to his age and stuff, and was drafted 2nd overall. And he's had, 30 and 40 goal seasons.
I could probably get half of those goals, and I can't even skate. I mean, for a number 2 overall draft pick, the most goals you scored in one season is 13. 13. And he didn't even have double digits this year either. I think he only had like 9 goals.
9, yeah. He had No, he had 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points.
Oh, that's even better. A
Yeah,
whole
so
9 points for 52 games.
yeah, so
Wow.
to put that in comparison, let's take a look at rookie Wade Allison. Okay, he played in just 14 games this season after being called up from Lehigh, and he had 7 points in 14 games, and they played him on the third and fourth line. Okay, Patrick is a number 2 overall pick and was supposed to be the face of the franchise moving forward. This was supposed to be the guy to replace Claude Giroux on the side of the building. You know what I mean? And he far from it.
Can I just say something though? Look, I'm not trying to knock anybody or anything like that, but does he look very? He doesn't look. What?
That
No, but he just looks like very. He has a very narrow face. Like he doesn't look like a typical hockey player. He looks more like a
surfer.
baseball player or a surfer. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he looks more like a surfer, right? Okay, I'm with you. All right. Like I expect to walk up to him and he's going to be like, "Dude, what's up?" He better not. Anyway, so this was the first salvo, man. We both really think that this is time for him to move on.
Yeah, I mean, the Flyers did the right thing this year. After being hurt, they gave him another
I
shot
agree.
to come back. He
I
was a
agree.
restricted free agent last offseason, and they offered him a contract to come back. They paid him a prove-it type deal of just $874,000 and change to play this season, with the hopes that he would come back and prove all his naysayers wrong. But like we previously mentioned, he only totaled 9 points. Okay, he got relegated to the fourth line towards the end of the season, and he was even moved off of the center position to bring in to play wing because Cates was better at playing center than him, and he just got signed out of college and directly came to the Flyers. Okay, one of the worst things this season to come from Patrick was he was a minus 30 on the year. Okay, a minus 30. Not only is that the worst on the entire Flyers team, but it was second worst player ranking in the entire league. In the entire league, he was the second worst player for that. Only Ramus Dahlin from the Sabres had a worse plus-minus rating than him in the entire league. That's saying something, guys.
Can I ask a strange question?
What?
He played 52 games. The only games he missed were the games that he was injured for, which were those 4 games. How is it that he plays all 52 games? He has 9 points. Huh?
I don't know. I really don't.
Where was the benching? Where was the heart gut check? Where was that from the coach this year from him?
Good point. Like we said earlier, AV was quick to point fingers at Konechny, at Shane Gossesparrow at times, even though he had a bounce back year this year.
And Shane Gossesparrow rented ice in Canada, right? So okay.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. I really don't see it, and looking back on it, Oscar Lindblom, he didn't have that great of year, but I think he gets a pass here because he's still not, even in the exit interviews, he said he's still not 100%. And, he's coming back from a courageous battle with cancer, and he's deserving of a free pass here. Patrick he was injured, but I think it should be viewed a bit differently than his situation. Patrick, I don't know if you've seen the players. You said you saw the coaches, but the talks with the players.
Some of them I saw,
Yeah, he claimed that he was back to 100% health.
Patrick did?
Yes, but I think, should we believe him at this point? Countless times throughout his career, he's been injured. Even before he was even brought up to junior levels with the Wheat Kings. Okay, just countless year after year after year, he's been injured.
When he was drafted,
he was injured.
we had to wait the 6 months so he could get that core muscle surgery.
Yes.
Okay. So, but we haven't heard that he's scheduled for any surgeries.
No.
Right? For this season. Right?
Says he's healthy.
Well, okay. And so I also heard something else that was rather disturbing from the press conference from the coach and the management is that, well, Patrick needs to have a good full off season. No, Patrick needs to have a good full off season for another bloody team.
Yeah. Yeah. The kid's 22. It's hard to, and he's a number 2 overall draft pick. It's hard to say, let's just get rid of him for some people. And I get that. But at some point, with his injury history and his just lack of heart during his play, I gotta say, like, why, just give up. He's taking a roster spot. Why sign him back and relegate, Tyson Forrester and Zayd Wisdom and Allison not to be in the lineup because you want to give Patrick another shot. A third and fourth line player is supposed to be defensively responsible. They're not required to score an absorbent amount of goals here.
They're
supposed to be right. They're supposed to be defensively responsible. They're supposed to help on a PK sometimes. And a minus 30 isn't doing that, guys. One of the things that Fletcher said about him and in there was, and both AV and him didn't seem too admirable of anything words coming from him. Fletcher said, well, it was a positive thing that Patrick was able to get through the season.
Well, great.
Right. Great. Like that's an outstanding quality.
I mean, that's what you're getting paid to do is to make it through the season. All right.
Right.
Cool. And then, check that off.
Right. And then AV said, it was no doubt Patrick had a challenging year. Like that is a pretty close lip, answer from both of them on his play, this season. And it doesn't lead me to believe that they have that much faith in him. Again, guys, he was already here when both of them came into the picture. They didn't draft him.
I know.
They don't hold those special feelings
no.
It's him.
It's not their guy.
It's not their guy.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to 100,000,000% agree with you on this article. Whether you want to play devil's advocate or not, the guy's had 4 years now. He's going into his 5th year. In the NFL, you get a 4-year rookie contract. At the end of them 4 years, you can either be picked up for the 5th year option or you become a free agent. Guess what? It's that time for Patrick because his 4 years has come and gone. Okay? Look, I'm not saying that the guy can't play well. The potential's there. We've seen it. We've seen flashes of it. But for whatever reason, it ain't there. Okay?
And neither is the heart. I don't think
That's
he
what
brings it. Yeah, he doesn't bring it on a nightly basis. And when he does bring it, it's usually a reactionary. Like when he gets hit or something like that is when he sparks up and then he plays well for a shift or two and then it just dies off. But one of my things I'm scared about is his health. He's been diagnosed with, migraine symptoms. And that's I know a lot of people with migraines. My wife has migraines, but I don't see that. I think it's more to do with his concussion history. And if you look in the article, you can see countless times that he's been injured or taken shots to the head or checks to the head, and over the years, and it may be minor concussions that others don't even know about or team doctors looked at and overlooked that is building up here. I think there's a change to him over the past few years. He's not that happy-go-lucky kid that I met as a fan. When I interview him and listen to press conferences when I'm not there, he reminds me of Eric Lindros or Brett Lindros, his brother, for that matter, who both dealt with concussions. Keith Primo, Chris Pronger, Ian LaPerriere, all Flyers that dealt with concussion-like symptoms. He's very, very meek and mild and melancholy in a sense, and a man of very few words now. he offers no clear picture of always thinking before he says something now. It's a little slower. And I think, that's scary in my mind. And I think that this kid needs to take a longer time off, possibly, and get 100% healthy, because although he says he is, I don't know if he's really 100% healthy.
Yeah.
And some people never get 100% healthy back from concussion symptoms and migraine like symptoms like that.
Messing with your head, and you start doing look, it's not like you back the car into a pole or something and you go take it to the mechanic and they put a new bumper on it. And even though your car has hit something, you can't tell because the bumper's been fixed. Right? Well, that's not how it works in your brain, man. Yeah. That kind of stuff leaves scar tissue. That kind of stuff leaves, it's bad juju. Okay. It causes bad issues.
Yeah, it happens a lot in the NFL for sure. A lot of those guys have a lot of problems. If you see them outside at 5-10 years later, they're dealing with issues and they're crippling.
Exactly. CTE is no joke, folks. It really isn't. And repeated blows to the head like that, resulting in multiple concussions, whether they're diagnosed or not, is not good and will lead to bad things, especially later on in life. I watched my mentor, my idol, my hero, Mike Webster, just crumble from that. I mean, he was living out of his truck, right? And he thought people were coming to get him. Yeah. Okay. So you can't mess around with your brain, folks. You can't. And if you're starting taking whacks to the head like that, you need to take a much more longer approach to things and a much more cautious approach to things, I think, especially with a physical sport like hockey. I mean, we all saw him get hit with that puck to the side of the face. And you could hear the entire Flyers nation go, I mean, and when he got up, it was like, oh, he got up. Oh, thank God. You know what I mean? Because it was like all you were waiting for was that one hit that was going to be it. You know what I mean? That's all we were waiting for was that. But he got up and he missed a couple games and he came back. So,
right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lance. I think we got a good one in the books this time. What do you think?
I think so.
I think this has been, man, I think we've been ultra passionate for this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it hits home. I think when you see your team struggling like this, you're a passionate fan, one that cares about the team and wants them to succeed is going to be.
Yes.
And wants to see changes and efforts at least to correct those issues. So,
and being as an analyst, and you take your fan hat off and you put your analyst hat on and you go, man, this team stinks. I mean, you just look at the numbers and it's like, man, 30th in the power or the penalty kill, the 20th in the power play. You were awful on 5-on-5. You couldn't string more than 4 games together the whole season.
Goals allowed is
your plus minus differential was off the bloody charts, right? Come on. Okay, look, so putting the analyst hat back on, we like to see some things happen with this team. And if we don't see them, I think we're going to be in mediocrity for a couple of years if things don't go well this offseason.
I think we've been in mediocrity for a while now.
I'm with you, man.
Of it, so.
I'm with you, man. I'm so with you. It's like, why can't we just have a team that just is like Boston or Pittsburgh or Colorado or Vegas? I mean, they just always seem to make the right moves. They just always seem to have the best players on the team. They just have the best goalies. They win enough games. They make it. I mean, what? All these other guys are doing it. Why can't the Flyers, right?
Yeah, I mean, and some of those teams, like you mentioned, like Boston did it over the course of the last couple of years. Even they were just a horrible, horrendous team just a few short years ago, and they got the right GM in there and added the right pieces and re-signed the right players and got rid of the ones that needed to go. And lo and behold, they're right back, in contention
Imagine
every
that.
single year,
Imagine
and
that.
Tampa Bay just keeps making the right
Rolling
calls at
along.
the
Yep.
deadline. And, as Pittsburgh did for a while there when they were on their cup runs, seemed to get the right person at the right time to come in and just match and gel well with the team. And
Like Jeff Carter, because man, I'll tell you what, Pittsburgh looks like anyway. So all
what do you
right,
have, a
folks.
4-goal game before? Jeez.
Yeah, right. And he's only been on the team now for 16 games, and he's got 9 goals, I think, or something crazy like that. Like, all right, cool. Well,
It's a lot
folks.
more than Patrick had all year.
Oh gosh, well, I think I could have scored more than he. Anyway, so all right, folks. Thank you very much, Lance, for another great show. We got to cover all the articles that you put out this past couple of weeks, especially the one that's still dripping ink about the Nolan Patrick. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. Please check out our sponsors, www.cccresorts.com. They cover all your daycare needs, all your spa needs, and even pool time. Check them out on Facebook and on the web. Thank you very much for watching. This is Steel Flyers. You can catch me out on Twitter at SteelFlyers52, and you can check me out on the web at www.steelflyers.com. And your host,
I'm Lance Green, and you can follow me on Twitter at LNGBASSIST, the numbers 39. You can read all my articles at Flyers Nitty Gritty or SteelFlyers.com.
Check it out, folks. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Hockey Writers, Inc.